communication is important in an English class, and what activities can you suggest to promote real communication in class? Naqib, would you like to go first this time?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I would like to share one piece of chart with the audience, and I will explain how to present a unit, a lesson in classroom where we can use CLIL as well and communication as well. So we can have some communication activities. So this is one chart. We have some names. I don't know whether this is visible or no to our audience, where we have different animals. There are some names. Our lesson, one of the lessons, this lesson is about social science. And the objective of this lesson is to teach students the characteristics of the animals, the names of the animals. Characteristic is very big word. Let's say how they move and what sound do they make. So first of all, before we start the class, students have the understanding of target vocabulary. We teach students how to say the words, number one, and number two, what are the meanings of the different words. For example, in this chart we have one word is horse. We show the picture, students see different diagram, horse, dog, and goose, llama, etc. So the second thing, in the chart, we distribute different pictures to students. Some students take one, some take two. So then and objective in English is to help students practice can, cannot, have, or has. Teacher asks different questions. The first thing is students explain what they can see in the picture. For example, horse. So teacher asks a student, how many legs does a horse have? Number one. Or a teacher can ask, who has the dog? Picture of the dog or the card of the dog. Student says, I have the dog, or says, I have the pig, etc. So then students share their cards with other students. They tell each other the names of these animals, and then they make different questions regarding the horse, and then every student takes the characteristic of one animal. For example, one student becomes horse and he moves like horse. So the teacher asks the student, how does he move? And meanwhile, when they perform this activity, students hide these cards. So in the last, when the question and answer session is done, then students pair share, they ask each other the same questions, they ask the names, and then they explain, they show their cards, whether the student who said, for example, Mark is the horse. So they check the card with the mark, whether Mark was a horse or no. So checking the movement and checking the sound they make. So this strategy can help students a lot, and we can use in this lesson all skills of English language: listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Students see them, they see the pictures, they read the text, so reading is done. Teacher asks students listen to the questions, so listening is done. They pair share, they discuss with each other, so speaking is done. And when they write the characteristics of the different animals, so the writing process is also done. So when they speak, communication is done, that is communicative as well, and CLIL is also used in this lesson. And with this, they can also use some games. For example, a horse, that is part of the lesson. A horse was going in the jungle, that was running very fast. One student say few sentences about the horse, and then the next student says two more sentences about the horse. The third student says few more sentences about the horse. So in this way, communication goes on.
Okay, great. So yeah, we're using lots of different grammar structures there to talk about the same vocabulary. And yeah, that's great. That's a good CLIL lesson. And I think the pair share aspect of it is perhaps the most important. Some of our teachers in Pakistan have large classes, right? Maybe 40 or 50.
Yes.
And if in a context like that, if the only communication is from the teacher to the student and back again, it's quite inefficient. So I think the larger the class, the more we need to promote communication between the students, right? Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Nakib. Fatima, would you like to talk about the importance of communication and perhaps share a couple of activities?
Yes, thank you very much, Chris. And a great example has been like explained by Nakib. So, as a teacher, I think communication is the key for learning for the students. Like when I am communicating with the students and students like communicating with one another. So, in fact, we are learning English informally, because we can teach English in one subject in one period. I mean to say, but if the teacher and the students are communicating, so that means informally the learning process is going on. So as a teacher, I think I must take care of the level of the students. For example, if I have been teaching the students of the younger classes, so I should pick up the activities like draw and describe. Like if they are drawing something, so they can describe like this is a circle, and now I'm drawing this and this, and the activities like find the differences and elaborate. So that is very easy for the students, and then they can do find a partner, in which the teacher gives a set of questions to the students, and they have to communicate with one another by asking questions. So in this way communication goes on. And if I talk about a bit younger, I mean elder students, for example, as I teach the elementary section, so I ask my students to present on a particular topic, especially if we have a target language. So they prepare the presentation sometimes in form of groups, sometimes individual, and then I do dialogues with them. And further, as I teach adults as well, so I have found the debate activity very effective for them, in which they pick a topic of their choice, or I assign them the topic, and simultaneously they have to give responses on that particular topic. So there are so many activities which we can do with the students according to the level of the class and understanding, and of course the language which they already have. So this is very important to take in, keep in the mind the level of the students. So these are few activities. Thanks.
That's great. Yeah, thank you very much, Fatima. Thanks for your suggestions there. I was just thinking, as you were speaking about, you said about giving a presentation, and as a communicative activity, I think when we give that task, we need to always bear in mind the fact that we've got to give the audience a listening
Yes.
task as well. Otherwise, we
Yes,
might not get communication. The speaker might
exactly.
give a great presentation about their subject, but if the audience haven't been given a task, they might just draw a picture in their book, or just daydream or something, right?
And for this, whatever what I do, I ask my students, like at the end, you have to ask the relevant questions, like whatever the speaker is going to share with you. So you are supposed to ask the questions at the end. So in this way, they keep on listening, and meanwhile, they try to create some sort of questions, and then they ask at the end.
And one thing more that we can do in communication, or creating communicative activities in the classroom. Uh, Students sometimes, as I share the lesson, names of animals and their characteristics and the way they make sounds. So students use the grammar structure of can and cannot. Students explain: can a horse swim? Can a dog fly? Can a pig swim? So they can also use this. And if it is okay, if they talk about the fish, can fish swim? So yes, the fish can swim. So can a dog swim? Can a horse swim? So they, meanwhile, they will also practice can and cannot. This is also very good for classes to use such communicative activities.
Thanks very much, Nakib. That's great. I just want to. I think we've got a question for you, actually, Nakib, in the chat. If I've interpreted the question right, so it's come from Shazad, and he says, "Sir, can we conduct your session in our secondary school?" So the lesson that you've suggested there, Nakib, would that be appropriate for a secondary school, or could we extend it somehow? What do you think?
Yes, I am ready, and I can conduct sessions anywhere for anyone, and that will be my pleasure to do so.
Yes, I'm not totally sure, but I think what Shazid means is your CLIL lesson about the animals and their abilities. Is it possible to use that lesson with secondary school students?
We can use, for this is for primary school students of maybe grade 2, grade 1. For higher grades, we can have other lessons where we can talk about other different characteristics, for example, in biology, in other subjects, in arts, and in social studies. We can use other activities, and we can design different lesson plans very easily, and that those lesson plans will work more effectively.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Nakib. I just want to pick up on a few more comments from the comment section. So I want to say hello to Aisha in Karachi and Sana in Sindh. Thank you very much for joining us. And then who else? We've got Shazad from Narawal and Aryan from Quetta, also in Balochistan, right? And then Ali from Hunza. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Okay, I want to pick up on another question. So Faisal has said that sometimes a problem is an inappropriate curriculum. So if a teacher finds themselves in a situation where they're struggling with the curriculum, what do you think that teacher could do? Fatima, would you like to give an answer to this question, or?
Well, I don't have any stronger opinion on that, but recently, if I talk about Pakistan, so a lot of work has been done in terms of curriculum, and the government is trying its level best to implement single national curriculum. So I think like if with the teachers like consult with one another, so many things can be resolved at spot. So if I just keep one issue to me only, and I will keep on thinking, maybe I would not reach the solution until and unless I ask my peer, like maybe she has some better approach than me. So I think there should be a trend in the schools for the teachers where they should work together, they should sit together and discuss such kind of issues. So although if we cannot resolve that, let's say there is a problem with the curriculum, so it's not in my hands that I could solve it, but I can like at least try to find something which I can do with my students. So and I can do with it with my peers. I think this is my opinion, because I usually do with my buddies, if I have got some problems, so I immediately go to the other teachers and I ask, like, do you have any other thing in your mind? So with this sharing, I think we can just somehow we can resolve such kind of issues.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Fatima. Yes, I think collaborating is never a bad idea, is it? Yes, and Nakib mentioned that earlier as well. So, Nakib, do you want to add anything to that, or do you broadly feel the same as Fatima?
yes, I would add something. If the problem is about the content, so the better idea is to consult a senior teacher present in the school. If the problem is about the language used to explain that content, so the teacher can better consult the language experts present in the school. But if it is still not solved, we can use a lot of free resources available on the internet. We can Google it, and we can find a solution to it. I'll just share one short example. Once I was teaching first year students, so I saw a word in the book. I did not know the meaning of the word. It was quite strange. I checked in the dictionary, and I checked that in the online dictionaries, Webster Dictionary, Merriam-Webster, dictionary.com. I Googled it, but I was unfortunately failed to find the meaning of that word. And it was the next day I had to explain the word to my students. So I then the next day again tried to Google the complete sentence. So Google replied with the solution that this the speaker of the sentence has spoken very quickly, and this is actually the writer has written the pronunciation of that word. So how the speaker pronounced the word, the writer has actually written that. So that problem solved for me, and when I checked it, it was so. And I also explained that to the student. So it is quite simple. We can use a lot of resources available online, and they are free to use as well. We can use them for our learning.
Okay, wonderful. That's very resourceful. Can you remember what the word was, Naqib, or have you forgotten now?
It was about 5 to 6 years ago back. So I really don't remember the word, but I Googled it and it was resolved.
Okay, great. All right. Just before we finish, we got a couple of really helpful comments from Kishwa. So he says we should also create an atmosphere by speaking only English to create integration of both languages, natives and English. Okay, so that's if your language level is good enough. Yes, I think that's a great idea. So give the students some immersion in the language. And Kishwa also says, students should also try to communicate with the practice of creative writing too. That's very true, Kishwa. So we've mostly talked about verbal communication here, haven't we? But I think writing is perhaps something which we'll pick up on in a future Facebook Live event. Okay, we've got a couple more questions, but I think we'll come back to those. We'll just answer them in the comment section, okay? Wonderful. Well, I think this has been really successful. Thank you very much to everybody who's joined in the audience and everybody who's taken part, leaving comments. And thank you most of all to Fatima and to Naqib. Thanks very much. Okay, and then that's it for this Facebook Live event. We hope you'll join us again soon. Goodbye for now.